Okay, today discuss about forces. Okay, we discuss about kinematics without understanding what causes the motion. This is the time to discuss about the cause. Okay, the effect, we already know that what causes the motion. The cause is the force actually. Okay, so let's understand the force in systematic way. All right. So all right, everybody. So let's warm up with a quick question. So can you describe a moment when something change your motion? Okay, you do not need to use the terminology force, okay, without using the word force. Can you chat with your friend, or you can think about that. There are so many moments where you feel certain things change your motion. Pause and think about that. For example, let's say I slam on the brake. I was driving from my home to this university to teach this class. So I noticed something dangerous front me, then I have to brake it. I slam my brake. That changed my car's motion. So you already use the force. You see, you use the force, the brake. I dropped my phone. I was watching something. I was seeing something, but suddenly I dropped my phone. What caused that drop? Great. All of these things everybody thinks related to the forces. We never use the terminology force, but we see every time, every day, every activities. Okay, so you have felt forces every time here. You just didn't call them that. So today we'll name it force and classify and understand what do you mean by forces, what those pushes are pulling, what they pushes or pulls really they are. So let's define what is force then. You know the force without knowing the physics perspective, but you know the force, right? What is force actually? What is force? Let's make this class more interactive. What is force? Okay, the simple definition of the force is the push or pull. A force is a push or pull. This is not a complete definition of the force. Okay, we will come to that point why push or pull does not encapsulate, does not include every aspect of the force to define it. But this is the beginning point. We begin with the concept that push or pull is a force. Okay, so the question, the bigger question as a students, as a science curious science students, you engineering students or any as students, you might have some curiosity where that force actually comes from. That is $1,000,000 question actually. Okay, where does a force come from? Anybody? Okay, so here are the important thing. From something acting on a mass, what happens? Its velocity changes, motion changes. We'll see that. We will define force is equal to the mass times the acceleration. F is equal to ma. We haven't reached there. We'll go there. We'll learn about that. So let's hang on to that for later. For now, just know whenever something speeds up, something slows down, or changes the direction, a force is involved. Very important thing. So we define the speeding up situation, slowing down situation, or change in the direction situation. Something is acting there. That is force. Okay. So there are two kind of forces in this nature. So one is contact force. and another is the field force. One category of the forces are contact forces, another category of the forces are field forces. Okay, so contact force requires touching. I push you, right? I put the book on a table, table apply the force on book, and book apply force on table. They need contact, right? But the field force, these forces you do not need any direct touch. For example, the gravitational pull between the earth and the moon does not require any contact. We didn't connect the moon and the earth by any rope, but without such a physical contact, there is certain kind of field, certain influence of sphere. Within that influence of sphere, you feel the force. For example, you take a magnet and you can take the iron nearby that, you don't need to touch initially, the iron will attract itself. So you see another magnet, depending on their pole, they will attract or repel. They don't need to physically touch within the certain range of the sphere, range of the area. Things you will feel push or pull. These categories of force is called the field forces. Okay, so the normal force, the friction force, the tension force, right, spring force, these are the contact forces. So the normal force, the force which is exactly perpendicular to the surface, that is the normal force. Okay, we denote that by N. Okay, normal force is denoted by N. We'll discuss about that. Then friction force. Okay, you walk on the ground also provides some friction on your foot, that's why you will be able to walk. You are writing on your piece of paper, so there is a friction between these two surfaces, that's how you can write. Any slippery places you cannot walk, okay, in icy surface. There is a tension force, the force along the length. For example, you have a rope, you feel the tension force. You have a spring, right? You are familiar with that, so you have a spring force. They are the category, they lie in the category of contact forces. But the field forces, they do not require the physical touch, so they act at a distance, you can say that. So gravitational force, I just explained that, earth pulling you down, doesn't need. So you are on the surface of earth because of the gravitational pull, but if you are maybe 50 meters away from the surface of earth, still you will be attracted toward the center of earth. Okay, electric forces and magnetic forces, these are the field forces. So now can you remind again, is gravity a contact or field force? Yes, gravity is the field force. So let me discuss a little bit. Suppose, imagine you are holding a ball in your hand, you are taking a ball in your hand. So what's acting on it? Can you tell me? So the matter is here, the gravity is pulling that ball down. So your hand really provides a normal force upward here, right? If you let go, only gravity remains, then it accelerates downward. So we will discuss these things. Right? This is what physics is all about here. You can ask, what's interacting with the object actually? What's changing its motion? So answer comes from the forces. Okay, so here are the listed common forces you should know in this mechanics course. So let me write down these common forces you should know here. And important thing is, why do forces matter? Can you tell me? The thing is, because everything in this nature is in the motion. Everything moves, or everything doesn't move, whether it may be at rest or it may be in the motion. Everything. Why that happens? Because of the forces, right? Why do cars stops? Why do cars stop? Why do rocket launch? Why do your muscles hurt after holding a heavy backpack? Forces explain all of these things. Forces explain the motion. Okay, and in physics, our job is to turn motion into numbers and rules, so we can predict what will happen next. If I drop the ball, how far it can go, how much stronger the pull or push at that point. So that's our point. So next video I will be talking about the concept of the net force. Okay.